A quantum phenomena. Microsoft's new quantum chip may consist of particles with unusual properties that physicists could believe could be used to build qubits that are less error prone. In a head turning announcement earlier this week, Microsoft unveiled a new quantum chip called Majorana 1. According to this press release, it consists of 4 qubits, mainly of a new state of matter. Qubit is a short for quantum bit, the fundamental unit of operations in a quantum computer, similar to classical bits in conventional computers. A single bit represents more information than a single qubit represents more information than a single bit. A quantum computer heightens the advantages of this ability using quantum phenomena like superposition and entanglement to solve complex mathematical problems in fewer steps than perhaps the most powerful conventional computer. Quantum computers differ depending on their choice of qubit. For example, Google's Willow chip uses small circuits that mimic the properties of atoms in a quantum state. Google Willow chip uses small circuits that mimic the properties of atoms in a quantum state. Microsoft has said its new chip uses Majorana particles, elusive subatomic entities supposed to appear in materials called topological superconductors. These particles have unusual properties that physicists believe could be used to build qubits that are less error prone than the designs Google and IBM use. Topological qubits can win if and only if they turn out to be more reliable than they leapfrog the earlier approaches. University of Texas at Austin professor Scott Aronson wrote on his blog, whether that will happen is still an open question, to put it extremely mildly. If you cool some water vapor, it will become water and then ice. If you keep lowering the temperature until nearly absolute zero, the system will have minimal thermal energy, allowing quantum states of matter to show. In the 1970s, Michael Kosterlitz and David Thouless, Michael Kosterlitz and David Thouless, Kosterlitz and Thouless found the subsurface of a superfluid helium sometimes developed microscopic vortices that moved in pairs. Kosterlitz and Thouless found the surface of superfluid helium sometimes developed in microscopic vortices that moved in pairs. When they raised the temperature, the vortices decoupled and moved freely. It was a new kind of quantum phase transition. The object's topological attributes change in response to changes in energy. The object's topological attributes changed in response to changes in energy. Topology is the study of properties an object retains when it is deformed continuously. Example, when it's stretched but not ruptured. Topological materials are materials with topologically protected states. The protection keeps the state stable against impurities and small disturbances. For example, a vortex in a bucket of water will fade as it loses kinetic energy, but vortices in a superfluid helium are topologically protected. With the right internal conditions, they will keep spinning. Only quantum physics allows this. Similarly, topological superconductors are materials whose ability to conduct an electrical current without resistance is topologically protected. The signature of a topological superconductor is its ability to host Majorana particles. These materials are not found in nature. Instead, scientists engineer them in a lab to have combination of internal properties that allow Majorana particles to exist. Microsoft has reportedly used indium arsenide with aluminium. But since the announcement, independent experts have asked whether the new chip really has Majorana particles. Many previous attempts, including some sponsored by Microsoft that claimed to have found these particles, were later overturned by the further scrutiny. Microsoft's press release also claimed that papers simultaneously published in Nature provided peer-reviewed confirmation that its team has created Majorana particles for use as qubits. Majorana particles for use as qubits. But the paper authored by the same team stated that work therein didn't test whether the particles were really Majorana. Microsoft researcher Chetan Nayak later clarified that Mr. Arson's blog that the team submitted the paper to Nature in March 24, and the team members have continued to make progress in the intervening year. The contradiction still subtracted from the confidence in Microsoft's claim because it had leaked a paper prescribing older work to a press release making new claims. This is a familiar problem when the private sector does cutting edge research. Its need to protect IP may prevent it from sharing all the information necessary to confirm the validity of the claim. At the expense of doing right by the research community whose approval it seeks. For now, scientific opinion about the alleged prowess of the Majorana 1 is uneven but also mostly skeptical. Microsoft thus has lot to gain or lose by showing the chip at work, but its action may have left it with little choice. The Kerala cadre IAS officer taking over charge as the CEC at a time when the centre is pushing legislation to introduce simultaneous elections at the Lok Sabha and state assemblies, Gyanesh Kumar, who took over as the 26th Chief Election Commissioner of India, comes to the top position with the image of a man who delivers with a smile. People who have interacted with him during his various stints in the government recall an affable bureaucrat always welcoming with a cup of kahwa spiced green tea. Mr. Kumar is also known to be a bureaucrat through thorough with his paperwork and ready to burn the midnight oil. During his tenure in the Union Home Ministry, he headed the Jammu and Kashmir desk and played a key role in policy implementation. After abrogation of Article 370 in 2019 and bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir into the two union territories of Ladakh and J&K. He was also given the responsibility to formulate the J&K bill by the Narendra Modi government. During his 5-year tenure in the Home Ministry, he was involved in setting up of the Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust, which was another key focus area of the Modi government. This is how he gained the trust of the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Mr. Kumar would also be one of the longest serving CECs under an uninterrupted tenure of 4 years till 2029. This combined with his expertise in doing spadework for sensitive legislation is likely to be used by the government for implementing key electoral reform of holding simultaneous polls to the Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Two bills which achieve One Nation, One Election, the Constitution 129th Amendment Bill 2024 and the Union Territories Law Amendment Bill 2024 were introduced in the Lok Sabha on December 17 last year. 129th Constitutional Amendment 29th Amendment Bill and Union Territories Law Amendment Bill were introduced in Lok Sabha last year after Union Cabinet accepted the recommendations of the High-Level Committee on the issue, headed by the former President Ramnath Kovind, a joint committee of Parliament is examining both the bills. If passed, the bills will allow simultaneous elections to the Lok Sabha and state assemblies in 2034 if the 5-year cycle of the legislature is not broken by early dissolution. As the CEC, Mr. Kumar and his successors will have to lay the groundwork for this mammoth exercise to fructify. Election Commission has earlier flagged that there was a need for a lead time for a production of electronic voting machines and voter verified paper audit trail. Plans for their storage and maintenance and administrative requirements to roll out simultaneous polls. The importance of Mr. Kumar's tenure during this period can be gauged from the fact that he was both the first election commissioner and the first chief election commissioner to be appointed under the new law, Chief Election Commissioner and Other Election Commissioners Appointment Conditions of Service Act 23. The opposition has claimed that the process followed under this law gives dominance to the ruling party in the selection process. A 1988 batch Kerala cadre officer of the Indian Administrative Services, Gyanesh Kumar, retired as a secretary in the Ministry of Cooperation on January 31, 2024. After completing his BTech in Civil Engineering from IIT Kanpur, he studied business finance from the Institute of Chartered Financial Analyst and environmental economics from Harvard University. He has worked in the government of Kerala in various capacities as sub-collector of Adoor, managing director of Kerala State Development Cooperation for Scheduled Tribes and Scheduled Caste, municipal commissioner of the Cooperation of Cochin, etc. As a secretary to the government of Kerala, he has handled diverse departments such as finance, resources, fast track project, etc. Chinese naval vessel fires live rounds in the neutral New Zealand in Tasman Sea, prompting air traffic alerts, government officials said. This was the second exercise in 2 days, despite concerns from Australia and New Zealand over inadequate notice and safety protocols. Macron will urge Trump not to make allies suffer with tariffs. Zelensky is not ready to sign minerals deal with United States. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is not ready to sign a minerals deal with the US, citing concerns over security guarantees and terms. The US seeks $500 billion minerals from Ukraine for exceeding $119.8 billion in aid provided, sparking a rift amid ongoing tensions and Russia's invasion. One dead, several police officers wounded in France knife attack. Hamas frees six hostages in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Masked Hamas men stood on each side of the hostages who appeared thin and pale as they were made to wave. There are still 63 captives in Gaza, fewer than half of whom are believed to be alive. Israel delays release of hundreds of prisoners. Trump fires US general in unprecedented shakeup. President Donald Trump on Friday fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Air Force, General C.Q. Brown, and pushed out five other admirals and generals in an unprecedented shakeup. Mr. Trump said in a post on Truth Social that he would nominate retired Lieutenant General Dan Razin Kane to succeed General Brown, a former F-16 fighter pilot. General Kane was the Associate Director of Military Affairs at the Central Intelligence Agency. Mr. Trump will also replace the head of the US Navy, a position held by Admiral Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to lead military service as well as the Air Force. Mr. Trump's decision sets off a period of upheaval at the Pentagon, which was already bracing for a mass firings of a civilian staff. US proposes UN next omitting Ukraine's occupied territory. US proposes UN text omitting Ukraine's occupied territory. United States proposed on Friday a UN resolution on the Ukraine conflict that omitted any mention of Kyiv's territory occupied by Russia. Pope is in critical condition, suffered respiratory crisis. Man found guilty of attempting to kill Salman Rushdie to be sentenced in April. The gateway to Badampudi, where bird flu had been confirmed. A signboard cautions people against Badampudi. A team of experts examined chickens for flu symptoms. Concerns over avian influenza that broke out in Andhra Pradesh village in Early February had its impacts on livelihoods, affect poultry and other industries. 8 trapped in Telangana tunnel rescue efforts on. Hope Oli gets India invite in first half of the year. Nepal Finance Minister. Nepal awaits an invitation from its Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to visit India. Nepali Foreign Minister said she had hoped that Oli and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will meet on the sidelines of BIMSTEC summit in Bangkok in April and that Mr. Oli would be invited to New Delhi in the first half of 25. Her comments indicate a strain in ties over India's unusual delay in hosting the Nepali PM. Manipur sees rising support to push to surrender weapons. Members of the Kuki Zomi community in the Churachandpur district of Manipur surrendered 16 looted and illegal weapons on Saturday following an appeal by the governor Ajay Kumar Bhalla. The weapons, including AK rifles, barrel grenade launchers, and gelatin sticks, AK rifles, AK rifles, under barrel grenade launchers, and gelatin sticks were surrendered following joint efforts of the Assam Rifles, state intelligence agencies CRPF and the Manipur police. The Assam Rifles said in a statement that the agencies have organized a series of meetings with the local community and the act of surrender of weapons in hilly and valley areas is likely to result in further surrenders in the state. The previous day, a 303 rifle, magazines, bulletproof jackets, helmets, and looted tear gas were surrendered in Kakching and Kangpokpi districts. On February 20, Governor appealed to people from all communities in the ethnic violence hit state to surrender looted public weapons in February 26. Dream of 20 lakh family to own home fulfilled. Union Home Minister in Pune said with 20 lakh beneficiaries receiving sanction letters under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin Phase 2, in a single day, the dream of these families to own a home has been fulfilled. Talks between centre farmers inconclusive even as group of farmers in Punjab have been protesting for over a year for their demands such as legal guarantee of MSP for the crops. The meetings with the centre remained inconclusive. Tamil Nadu government will not implement NEP at any cost, says Stalin. PM should respond to Trump's claim on US aid funds, Congress. Archaeologists find 1.4-meter tall Buddha head in Odisha, says dig is only getting started. Detailed studies needed to determine where Buddha head in Ratnagiri is the largest ever found in India, says experts. On December 1, 2024, a group of archaeologists, students, and laborers gathered at around mound in the southern part of 18-acre Ratnagiri Buddhist heritage site in Odisha's Jajpur district to unearth the remnants of history that still lay hidden beneath the surface. The expectations were mixed, but there was no doubt that resuming excavation after 6 decades would shed new light on Buddhism's influence in the region. Kerala attracts 1.52 lakh crore investment proposals. DRDO's indigenous submarine plans to go for approval in a few months. Design phase expected to take up to 3 years, with another 5 years required for construction, say official. Project aims for 90% to 95% indigenous content. Contract negotiations to start soon for separate deal to buy new submarines. J&K police face flag for pulling down board urging tourists to avoid liquor. Pakistan frees 22 Indian fishermen from Karachi jail. India-Bhutan enjoy exemplary ties of friendship and cooperation. Minister of External Affairs. India and Bhutan enjoy exemplary ties of friendship and cooperation based on trust, goodwill, and mutual understanding at all levels. And the visit of Minister Sharing Topke was in keeping with the tradition of regular high-level exchanges between the two countries. Mr. Topke paid an official visit on 2021 to participate in the inaugural leadership of the conclave of School of Ultimate Leadership, which was inaugurated by the Prime Minister here. New rule let shop to work in non-stop in Chhattisgarh. Nepal PM Oli hoping for invitation to visit India in first half. Shakti Kanta Das appointed Principal Secretary to PM. Law Ministry to bring a new draft bill to amend Advocates Act. Farmer leader Jagjit Singh Dalewal, who has been on an indefinite hunger strike, arrives in an ambulance for a meeting. IB Ministry plans new laws to regulate digital content. Parliamentary panel questions and Supreme Court observation in Allahabadiya case lead to thinking for a new legal framework in the government ministry recently issued advisories to the OTT. The Information and Broadcasting Ministry is examining the existing statutory provisions and the need for a new legal framework to regulate harmful content on digital platforms, indicating that government's move to sharpen its vigilance over them following an outcry over Ranveer Allahabadia's comments on the YouTube program. In its reply to a parliamentary panel's communication over the issue, the ministry said there was growing concern in society that constitutional right of freedom of expression is being misused to showcase an obscene and violent content on digital platforms. It told the Standing Committee on Communications and Information Technology, headed by BJP MP Nishikant Dubey, that while certain provisions existed under the current laws, there was growing demand for a stricter and effective legal framework to regulate such harmful content. It said the ministry has taken note of these developments is in process of examining current statutory provisions and the need for a new legal framework. The ministry said the Supreme Court, many high courts, MPs and statutory bodies such as National Commission of Women had spoken on the issue after Mr. Allahabadia's comment drew wide condemnation. The top court flagged the vacuum in law when it comes to content on platforms such as YouTube and said all kinds of things are going on. The ministry told the panel that it would submit a detailed note after due deliberations. The committee asked the ministry on February 13 about the amendments needed in the laws to clamp down on controversial content in the wake of emergence of new technology and media platforms. Members across party lines have joined the outcry over Mr. Allahabadia's comments, prompting the committee to write to the government. Unlike the conventional print and electronic content, new media services such as over-the-top platforms or the YouTube had no specific regulatory framework. While there is a view in some quarters that authorities may use new provisions to censor content for extraneous reasons, there is a rising demand for strengthening the legal framework through amendments in the existing laws or by enacting the new ones. While hearing podcaster Mr. Allahabadia's plea for relief following registration of FIRs against him, we would like to do something. If the government of India will willingly do it, we'll be very happy. Otherwise, we are not going to leave this vacuum. Centre promises action on EPS 95 pensioners' demands. Schools to go English medium from class 9 on pleas from parents and students. After multiple representation from students of the Eklavya Model Residential Schools and the President, the National Education Society for Tribal Students has issued a circular introducing English medium of instruction for in all EMRS from class 9 beginning the next academic sessions. Ease marriage registration rules to tap wedding market center to states. To boost wedding tourism, the center has asked states and UTs to facilitate an easy and uniform process of registration of marriage for couples from outside their respective areas. Modi to be the chief guest at the Mauritius National Day on March 12. CII chief wages rising but servicification of manufacturing makes comparisons difficult. Sanjeev Puri highlights the need for accelerating job creation and expanding the skilled workforce, changing manufacturing business models with increasing reliance on specialized services are reshaping employment dynamics, making traditional comparisons of wage trends complex. Even as the Economic Survey 24-25 called out corporate India for wage growth flagging, while profits soared in the recent years, the head of India's Apex Industry Chamber has noted that businesses are regularly hiking salaries, but recent wage trends may not be strictly comparable with the past due to increasing servification of the manufacturing. Wage revisions have been happening regularly based on the relevant industry surveys and inflation data, and it is also imperative that these revisions happen because otherwise industry will not be able to retain talent. On the concerns that about wage growth, the CII chief said a lot of value chains are now using more specialized services than before. For instance, until for utilities used by a company traditionally, you did not have agencies that managed utilities on a turnkey basis, so you did it yourself, whereas managing a utility is not a core competency of a manufacturing setup. Their core competency is to do their manufacturing. Today you have professional agencies that come and manage your utilities. Sometimes even OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, come and manage utilities. The service component even in manufacturing is going up, so that may not get captured in one's comparison, making them difficult. Mr. Puri, who is also chairman and managing director of conglomerate ITC, recalled that when he had joined the firm, even car drivers were employees of the company. Now they are usually professional agencies that provide these services. At the broader level, Mr. Puri noted that key challenge for India is to accelerate job creation as well as expand the pool of skilled employable talent. For instance, for utilities today used by the company, traditionally you did not have agencies that managed utilities on a turnkey basis, so you did it yourself, whereas managing a utility is not the core competency of a manufacturing setup. The core competency is to do their manufacturing. Today you have professional agencies that come and manage your utilities. Importers of medical gloves violating safety norms, Indian rubber gloves manufacturers have filed a complaint with the Drugs Controller General of India alleging violation of some major importers of medical gloves. AMFI introduced initiatives to encourage investments. Three initiatives: SIP for smaller investment, Tarun Yojana to encourage young investors, Mitra to track and recover foreign investments. SIP for smaller investment, Tarun Yojana to encourage young investors, and Mitra to help foreign forgotten investment. Balrampur Chini Mills to set up PLA polymer unit in Uttar Pradesh. So the two foremost fifth generation fighter aircraft of Russia, Sukhoi 57 and 35, got a lot of attention. The US is also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters. The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is a single-seat, single-engine strike fighter jet. Single-seat, single-engine strike fighter jet with three variants: F-35A, which is conventional takeoff and landing; F-35B for the Marine Corps with short takeoff and vertical landing; and F-35C. Noting that it wasn't a firm offer, and what Mr. Trump meant was that they will look at a roadmap for making the F-35 available. Rajesh Kumar Singh said that India will look at the offer once it becomes a firm offer, pointing out that there is a protocol to be followed. He said the first requirements have to be raised by the services and only then the options on offer studied. US Government Accountability Office, which is mandated by the US government to Congress to review the programs, will expect exceed $2 trillion. Based on various estimates, the F-35 cost upwards of $100 million per aircraft with armaments and associated cost. India has never operated a US fighter. An advanced fighter like F-35 will need new facilities for training and maintenance. What is the status of Russian fighter jet? It is pertinent to note that in 2010, India and Russia signed a preliminary design to agreement to jointly produced the fifth generation fighter aircraft, now the Sukhoi 57, to use for both countries for $295 million for preliminary design. But protracted negotiations followed over the high cost and limited technology transfer. One of the limiting factors that was that it was a single seater and creation of a twin seat variant. The IAF's preference would mean the steep rise in cost. India eventually pulled out of the FGFA project and decided to go with its indigenous FGFA and the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. The IAF has sanctioned strength of a 42.5 fighter squadrons but is languishing today at 31 squadrons. Somewhere India got left behind and stuck in the middle. Even China has two advanced fifth generation fighters, J-35 fifth generation fighters. Pakistan is looking to acquire fifth generation J-35. J-35. India has an ambitious plan to acquire 500 fighter jets. A bulk of them would be light combat aircraft and AMCA. There have been delay in the delivery of 83 LCA Mark 1A that have been already contracted, with 97 more to be ordered. The delay due to engine delays from the Electric and the HAL has now assured that 12 jets will be delivered this year. Officials said that the more capable LCA Mark II is expected to make its first flight in early 26. AMCA prototype is expected early to be rolled out by end 26, early 27, certified by 32, ready for induction by 2034. The proposal for 114 multi-role fighter aircraft to be imported and licensed manufactured locally, but has seen no progress for many years. So that's all in this one. See you in the next.